Good evening and welcome to the council meeting for Monday, October the 20th, 2025. Please rise for the playing of the national anthem and a moment of reflection.
Oh, Canada.
Please be seated. And we'll begin this evening with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we live and gather in St. Catharines is part of the traditional territory of many Indigenous peoples. For thousands of years, this area was home to the Haudahwendarunk of the Neutral Confederacy, the first caretakers of the land between the lakes. In the 1600s, following great upheaval, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and particularly the Seneca, held presence in Niagara and affirmed their hunting rights through the Nanfan Treaty of 1701. By the 1700s, the Anishinaabeg, and specifically the Mississaugas, moved into Niagara and became recognized by the Crown as the landholders. It was the Mississaugas of the Credit who, in 1792, as part of the Upper Canada Treaties, entered into the Between the Lakes Purchase, the agreement through which the Crown claimed title to this land, including what is now St. Catharines. Today, we recognize the Mississaugas of the Credit as the treaty signatories, the Haudenosaunee as rights holders under the Nanfan Treaty, and the Haudahwendarunk as the earliest caretakers of this territory. We also honor the continuing presence of many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis who make Niagara their home. We further acknowledge that this land is part of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement, a covenant made between Indigenous nations to share the land and its resources in peace. The dish represents the shared territory, and the one spoon reminds us that we must take only what we need, leave enough for others, and ensure the dish is never emptied. This teaching remains a guiding principle for how we live together with care, respect, and responsibility. This evening's mayor's report I will keep very brief, and I will begin by simply pointing out that I, a New York Yankees fan, am what stands between you, a group of Blue Jays fans, and Game 7. So I will point out, I have jumped on the bandwagon. I am happy to cheer for the Blue Jays unless they lose, in which case I will say I did nothing different and it's not my fault. But I'm going to try and get us out of here nice and quickly. Good evening. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Pleased to start by sharing some highlights from the past few weeks and spotlighting the incredible work happening across the community. I will start with October 8th, 2025, when Grantham Avenue Park was officially renamed Grantham's Jim Bradley Park in honor of Jim Bradley's lifelong dedication to public service. The ceremony took place shortly after the passing of our dear friend and colleague and mentor on September 26th. This renaming is a fitting tribute to the lasting impact he made on St. Catharines and beyond. Located at 447 Grantham Avenue, the park now stands as a meaningful symbol of Jim's deep commitment to our city and his legacy. I do appreciate all of the folks who came out on October the 8th. I will say, some of you may have noticed, I was dressed in a full suit and tie, not a normal outfit for me, but as the chair liked to remark, you know, sometimes the mayor of St. Catharines can wear a tie, and so I wore a tie on that occasion in his honor. I recently attended the Bethlehem Housing Soup Fest at the Niagara Penn Centre along with Councillor Dodge, and I know other councillors were there before I got there, in support of the Bethlehem Housing and Support Services in their important work addressing homelessness. The event brought together local chefs, community leaders, and residents to enjoy delicious soups and breads, with all proceeds going towards safe and affordable housing programs. I also had the honor of attending the ribbon cutting ceremony for the new Court Support Center at the Kristen French Child Advocacy Center, Niagara, just across the street here from City Hall. This vital resource helps children and youth who need to testify in court, providing personalized support to help them feel more confident and prepared. It was inspiring to join fellow elected officials and community members in celebrating this important addition to our city. Last week, I joined mayors and CAOs from across Ontario and Thunder Bay for the Ontario Big City Mayors meeting. We discussed key municipal challenges and opportunities, including updates from provincial and federal representatives. The topics included automated speed enforcement, homelessness, housing affordability, and infrastructure funding. And council should be aware that on the correspondence this week, they will receive a report of all the things that we talked about and the important information I think they would find of interest. I also participated in advancing our involvement in the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative Allies program and supported motions to improve responses to winter homelessness and offer tax exemptions for new homebuyers. We have a number of clear advocacy priorities for the coming year focused on mental health, sustainable funding, and municipal development charges. I do want to take this opportunity to remind everyone about some upcoming chances to get involved with the 2026 budget readoption. Tomorrow, Tuesday, October 21st at 7 p.m., we're hosting our telephone town hall. Students should receive calls randomly, giving them a chance to ask questions and provide feedback from home. If you want to make sure you receive a call or to opt out, if you definitely don't want to receive a call, visit stcatharines.ca/budget call. The next day, Wednesday, October the 22nd at 6 p.m., there will be an in-person budget readoption open house at the Kiwanis Aquatic Center in the Irene Locke Program Room. This is a great opportunity to speak directly with members of the Budget Standing Committee to ask questions and share feedback. If you can't make either event but want to share your thoughts, you can email budget@stcatharines.ca, or you can send your ideas directly to myself, mayor@stcatharines.ca, or to the budget chair, Councillor Dodge, at ddodge@stcatharines.ca, and you want to do that as soon as possible and before October 23rd. Please also keep an eye out for upcoming council budget meetings. We have one on November the 5th and 19th, and then potentially later meetings, but hopefully we're able to get it done nice and quickly. On Saturday night, I had the pleasure of attending the Niagara Ice Dogs game at the Meridian Centre, along with Councillors Dodge and, Councillor Stevens, that's right, who's not here this evening, so I guess we will get no Kinder Mayor report. We had the chance to be there, though, to honor Junior A hockey legends Pierre Pilote and Rudy Pillis. It was really fantastic to get to meet the families of Mr. Pillis and Mr. Pilote. It was a proud moment to celebrate our city's rich hockey history and their incredible contributions on and off the ice. The team also wore special jerseys celebrating 80 years of Junior A hockey here in St. Catharines, with all the proceeds supporting Community Crew, a local nonprofit that provides healthy lunches to more than 1,500 students across the Niagara Region school system. You can head on over to the Niagara Ice Dogs website and hit up their auction page if you would like to bid on one of those jerseys. The auction is doing very well right now. I believe we're already up over $4,500. And finally, I want to invite everyone in Port Dalhousie to join myself and Councillors Mako and Williamson for the Port Dalhousie Ward Town Hall STC event on October the 29th. It'll be held at the Grantham Optimist Club from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. We hope to see you there for a great chance to connect and discuss what matters most to you. You can sign up and learn more at stcatharines.ca/townhallstc. At this time, I will open things up to members of council if they would like to add anything to the mayor's report. Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a reminder to everyone that the annual Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony will be held at the Meridian Center on October 30th. Doors open at 5:30. The awards begin at 6 and should be over shortly after, quarter to 7, around there. So it's not a long evening, but everyone's invited.
Entirely depends on whether there's a Blue Jays game, I'm sure. All right, Councillor Lindell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to wish a happy 15th birthday to a great Italian restaurant pizza place in Merritton, Fat Cats. They turned 15 this year. They're at the corner of Woodrow and Rockwood.
Excellent. Happy birthday to Fat Cats. As we're sitting here, members of the community can't actually see this, but I just wanted to point out, and I'm not quite sure what's happened on this half of the horseshoe. We have a number of councillors online tonight, but it's everybody on one side of the horseshoe, so everything's very lopsided in the room. Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This weekend, I attended the AMO Healthy Democracy Forum, and one thing became very clear from it is that democracy will not fix itself. We need to be fixing it together. We heard some rather painful bits of data that Ontario municipal voter turnout has dropped from 44% to 33% in a generation, that people are feeling disconnected, and that disconnection kind of feeds the toxic cycle. Fewer candidates, less choice, lower turnout, and a growing distrust or dislike of politicians. But on the upside, one of the speakers was France Belaïle, the former mayor of Gatineau. And she stepped down after facing harassment and death threats. But she was very positive about democracy and positive about being part of municipal government. And the line that she had was that public service isn't a popularity contest, but it should never come at the cost of your safety and your mental health, which was I think struck a lot of people in the room. But there were a lot of strategies, a lot of local outreach. We learned about how some libraries across the country are actually becoming educators when it comes to election time, being very nonpartisan, very impartial, but just helping people understand what elections are. And then the final kind of really poignant moment was discussion around Indigenous rights and Indigenous outreach. And we were speaking of the topic of the Treaty of Niagara came up, and the concept of polishing the chain, that democracy is a relationship, and those relationships need care and they need to be tended to, and that's kind of what we do. And that was it about AMO, but then I have two announcements from St. George's Anglican Church. They are doing a Faith and Politics, Where is the Common Ground, on Wednesday, October 29th at 7 p.m. It is free, anyone can attend. And then they're also doing a Saints and Sinners Ghost Tour as a fundraiser for the Restoration Campaign on November 1st, and you get to step inside 200 years of history. And Reverend Tarnick there is dug deep into the depths of the archives and the bowels of the church to come up with some really cool events. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mako.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank everyone from Team STC who showed up at the Penn Center on Saturday morning to walk a mile in her shoes for Jillian's place. They smashed the fundraising goal of $135,000, I think, raising over $150,000. So that was a tremendous success. And just thank you to all the men who came out, strapped their heels on, and gave it their best shot. It's always entertaining to hear us all commiserate afterwards and hear the women say, "How do you think we do it every day?" So we all try our best once a year, and for a very important cause. One event upcoming, the Port Dalhousie Beautification and Works Committee is hosting our annual Halloween walk. It's this Sunday morning at 11 a.m. meeting at Dalhousie House in Rennie Park. And just thank you to all the local businesses and residences along the route who hand out candy to the kids. It's a great Halloween tradition. And thank you to all the BWC volunteers for making it happen. That's all for me.
Thank you, Councillor Mako. And Councillor Phillips for a second time.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I forgot to mention, this weekend, Niagara Symphony is hosting a concert. It is a rock concert with a professional rock band fronting the symphony. It's Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. I've been to that concert before. It is a great concert for those who like rock.
You said that with a great deal of disdain in your voice. Rock and or roll music? Okay. I'll look to the clerk now for the adoption of the agenda.
There are no amendments being made to the agenda this evening, and the following items of additional correspondence have been placed in Council Sugar Sink folder. Any non-confidential items will be part of Council correspondence listing for October the 23rd, which is found on the city's website. Confidential memorandum from the Deputy Clerk regarding vacancy appointments to Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee, and a memorandum from the Manager of Realty Services regarding amendment to Council Report EDTS 108-2025, disposal of Arsenal Lane, revising the legal name in the agreement of purchase and sale.
Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor McPherson, Councillor Dodge, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Adoption of the minutes. The council adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October the 6th, 2025. Mover and seconder, Councillor Mako, Councillor Williamson, all those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Move on to item 5, the motion to move the consent report. Can I have a mover for the consent report? Councillor Lindell. I will look to the clerk now to read the list of the consent reports.
Tonight's consent agenda is one item, item 6.1, Legal and Clerk Services, Office of the City Clerk, filling of the vacancy for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee. Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Kushner.
Yes.
Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
That's carried.
There are no public meetings this evening. There are also no presentations, so we will move right to a 9.1, Office of the Chief Administrative Officer, Administration, 2024-25 Status Report on the Multi-Year Accessibility Plan. Prior to discussing the report, I will now call upon Margaret Nicholson, the Accessibility Coordinator, to present. Ms. Nicholson, the lectern is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. My name is Margaret Nicholson, and I'm the Accessibility Coordinator here at the City of St. Catharines. Relatively new, 5 months in. One part of my role includes acting as the staff liaison to the Accessibility Advisory Committee, and 2 members are here in the gallery tonight, Sasha and Matthew, and I know a number of folks are watching online. I'd like to acknowledge their presence and support here tonight as I introduce myself to you and bring forward a status report covering 2024 up to September 1st, 2025. With that, here we go. Please turn the slide. So a bit of background for everybody. The annual status report on the multi-year accessibility plan reinforces the city's goal and commitment to inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility, and the city's effort to strengthen neighborhoods and communities by creating safe, accessible, and quality of life opportunities for everyone. Additionally, from the city's accessibility policy, the city promotes accessibility through the development of policies, practices, and procedures, or as I like to say, the 3 Ps, consistent with the core principles of accessibility, which are dignity, independence, integration, and equality of opportunity for people with disabilities. The status report is a mandatory requirement under the Integrated Accessibility Standards Regulation of the AODA, and the purpose of the report is to provide an update on the progress of the 2021 to 2025 multi-year accessibility plan, which is attached in your report. So with that, let's turn the slide and talk about folks with disabilities. According to the Canadian Survey on Disability, the St. Catharines Niagara Census metropolitan area has approximately 90,500 people with disabilities, or approximately 28.9, almost 29% of the total CMA population. It's important to note in the statistic, this Niagara CMA does not include Grimsby and portions of West Lincoln. This percentage, 28.9, is higher than the provincial average of 24.1%. And if we bring it down to the St. Catharines level, using a 2022 population estimate of 141,000 people in St. Catharines approximately, and the prevalence rate of disability at 28.9%, we're looking at approximately 40-odd thousand folks who are St. Catharines residents living with some form of disability. Sarah, you can turn the slide, thanks. So, who are people with disabilities? People with disabilities are, or maybe all of us at some point in our life, people with disabilities are community members of all ages. They are family members, they are our employees, our friends, our caregivers, our volunteers, our students, and our contributors to civic life, to our culture, and to our economy. Many persons with disabilities live with apparent disabilities or non-apparent disabilities. Some people may experience temporary disabilities, cyclical disabilities, or permanent disabilities. Some people are born with a disability. Others acquire disability from illness, disease, or a traumatic event or accident. Very likely, the older we get, our chances of acquiring disability increase as we age. So as you can see, people with disabilities are a very substantial portion of the community that may be directly impacted by improving accessibility and enhancing accessibility measures, or simply removing barriers to participation. You can turn this. So let's dive into some examples from the report, some brief highlights. Engineering, Facilities, and Environmental Services shared this accomplishment with me. This project features a new accessible paved 3-meter wide multi-use trail realignment and extension section at Walker's Creek Park to accommodate Niagara Region's pedestrian crossing at Lakeshore Road, so it's a collaboration. This undertaking focuses on pedestrian accessibility and will provide a safe, accessible trail connection to continuous routes throughout the city. Go to the next one. This one, this summer, I remember it well. These images were provided by Community Culture and Recreation Services. The Secord Woods splash pad, sun shelter, and washroom is here on the left and on the right. This project features accessible and inclusive play features, at-grade activation controls, so kids and mobility devices can easily reach and interact with the play features. Sun shelter, a universal washroom design, so everyone can use it. Wider doors and various other features, accessible picnic tables, and hard service connections. The location is also served by public transit. Okay. St. Catharines Kiwanis Aquatics Facility earned a Rick Hansen Foundation Gold Accessibility Certification by trained assessors. This certification is in effect until September 25th, 2026. Key features include ramps for pool entry into the warm water leisure pool and the 25-meter large pool, water wheelchairs, a height-adjustable change table for adults who require this feature, and a Hoyer lift in the universal change room. Onto sidewalks. Again, from Engineering, Facilities, and Environmental Services. This project, Permilla Street, was part of a larger collaboration with Niagara Region and included a number of enhancements. New sidewalk on the north side of Ridley Road is under construction, and a new pedestrian crossing will be installed. The initiative includes widened sidewalks, new multi-use path to improve the connection to the GO station, and as above, new sidewalk ramps installed at Permilla Street. Sidewalks are key to safe and accessible travel for all people: parents with strollers, children on bikes, people using mobility devices such as wheelchairs and mobility scooters, because without them, people are often forced onto the roadway. Next slide. The next couple of slides will speak to programming and policy-related accomplishments. And interspersed throughout some of the slides, I've found some excellent quotes that I like that are applicable to our topic. So this slide is from Helen Henderson. She was a Canadian journalist for many years with the Toronto Star and a disability rights advocate. You can also see in this picture, this was taken, I got to go out and see this on a beautiful, I think it was July day, it was lovely and cool down in Port Weller. And this is an accessible chess and checkers table, which will allow someone in a mobility device to pull up at the open space. And this was funded from the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility Active Living Centers. And thanks to Kobe Vanyo for that picture. You can go to the next. Just quickly, I'll do some running highlights through here. St. Catharines Museum and Welland Canal Center have embedded accessibility principles, universal design, such as larger text and font in some of their exhibits. The Angel Fish Program through Community Recreation Culture Services provides water safety and swimming skills for children with learning, physical, or intellectual disabilities. Human Resources led accessibility training to 21 supervisory staff. I had the pleasure of working with Ken and talking to Ken at St. Catharines Public Library and got very specific examples. 1,008 patrons use the accessibility computer or magnifying glass to access books and more. Legal services and clerks implemented their polling place accessibility checklist to ensure an accessible facility, voting equipment, election information, accessible formats, and all election staff and temporary poll workers are trained in accessible customer service. Accessible procurement. I worked with staff to ensure we embed the required accessibility criteria for digital accessibility, which is Web Compliance Accessibility Standards 2.0, Level AA, which is an international standard, into both the Parking Solution Request for Proposal, RFP, and the Human Resources Information Systems, RFP, to ensure proactive accessibility for employees is embedded at the start in these digital solutions. And then finally, the acting clerk worked with me and the AAC to develop an accessible formats and communication support statement for future council agendas, committees of council, task force agendas as well. Next slide. So moving further into the report, I've excerpted some highlights of the AAC's accomplishments and some of the work I've done here in my first 5 months. I like this quote from Susan Jennings. It's in the Municipal World magazine. We're not here to tell you what you've done wrong, but to help you make places better for everybody. And she's from the Victoria, BC Accessibility Advisory Committee. That picture as well, sorry, Sarah, if I can just go back. That picture as well, you can't quite see the pedestrian, but that was again on another hot July day, and we went out to look at some challenges with the curb there at Lakeport and Locke Street. And that's one of our staff from EFES, Environmental Engineering, Facilities and Environmental Services, out with me that day, and we're taking a look at it. Okay, we can go on to the next. And then for the first time, I've included some accomplishments of the Accessibility Advisory Committee in both 2024 and 2025. So just quickly, policy and municipal influence. A member of the AAC diligently reviewed 24 site plans for accessibility in 2024, and in 2025, they have gotten up to about 24 as of September 1st. The committee strongly advocated for a dedicated accessibility coordinator role, and so here I am. The committee provided feedback on the active transportation master plan, the city's sport field strategy, and one on the housing accelerator fund. The AAC engaged with the Downtown Business Association's request for a letter of support for a grant application. Most recently, a working group has been formed, the Sidewalk Working Group, who will work with staff to enhance and improve sidewalk engineering specifications to ensure consistent application across the city. And finally, some members of the AAC attended a regional day-long conference with other AAC members from across Niagara region in Niagara Falls. And this included members from Welland, Fort Erie, Niagara region, and the Joint Accessibility Committee, which is comprised of many of the smaller municipalities. The AAC is an invaluable resource to the city, and they want to make our community safe and accessible for all. Interesting fact, in 2028, the City of St. Catharines will have had the contribution of an accessibility committee for 30 years. I think that's going to be something to celebrate. Okay. And these are just some pictures I took or had sent to me. One of our AAC members out for a walk with me on a really nice day. Accessible picnic tables at Happy Rolf's. Courtesy wheelchair for use in the Meriton Community Center. I like seeing that. Courtesy wheelchairs, it's like business. If you provide courtesy anything, it will be used if you promote it. And also at the FirstOntario Performing Arts Center. Do you have a Bluetooth-enabled hearing aid? You can connect up to their FM systems. We can go on to the next slide. A little bit about my role. The accessibility coordinator can act as a liaison between committee members and municipal staff and elected officials. I do see my role as a connector, a bridge builder, and as the Ontario government indicates, one where I can act as a liaison between AAC members, municipal officials, and staff to help guide committee members through various municipal processes. In some cases, they're guiding me, which is very helpful. I see a nod. Providing advice, consultation, or guiding staff is part of my role. Helping them to interpret accessibility or human rights legislation, and then channeling committee members' questions to appropriate municipal staff. And then the email address at the bottom is a new address we've created for AODA and accessibility feedback from the public, accessibility@stcatharines.ca. And then finally, I just wanted to show a few of the many pictures I'm collecting of working with various staff across the city, out and about. Really, it's always about working together to move us forward. Accessibility is necessary for some, yet it benefits everyone. So the FirstOntario Performing Arts Centre Access Tour with some of the staff I met there, we pulled out the measuring tapes. Working with the Occupational Health and Safety Officer, doing some event planning, and then consulting on an installation kiosk. I think that was in my first 3 weeks. It's like kind of a blur right now, but with someone from our facilities team. And then thank you. Mayan Ziv is a young woman who is becoming an up and rising accessibility advocate across the country. And her quote is, "Accessibility isn't a side project or an afterthought, it's a signal of how seriously we take participation and how intentionally we design for it." So thank you. I hope you found this informative, and if there's any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nicholson. Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to Ms. Nicholson. Just one question, you kept it positive. In terms of, I know one of the impediments that people facing accessibility challenges have is snow clearing and ice issues in the wintertime. Have we made progress, do you think, over the years in that regard?
It's hard for me to say. I have to go back and look. However, I have met with bylaw enforcement and municipal works staff, and they will optimistically be coming to attend the AAC meeting in November to answer questions and give us an outline. One of the things we were wanting to work on, I'm looking at Sasha in the back, is a snow working group, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. But I know it's difficult for people to navigate when there's big mounds of snow. I have a picture up in my office of this big mound of snow when I worked up at Brock University, given to me by a student. And it reminds me often of the challenges of navigating in our Canadian winters. So hopefully I can come back next year and tell you it's better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Councillor Miller.
Not a question. I just wanted to say thank you to Margaret and the committee. As someone who lives with a disability myself, and certainly appreciate all the work staff is doing, and I know I appreciate all the sympathy and compassion that staff have had at the city, certainly around my hearing loss and some of the trouble with it. So thank you. I'm so excited to see you in this role, and excited to see what the next report has for us.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Miller. Councillor Harris.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the presenter. We always seem to have a conflict with sidewalks and the width of sidewalks. What is the actual Ontario standard for sidewalks?
The standard that the City of St. Catharines follows
the
is
Ontario one.
1.8 meters. We can ask our engineering facilities in person around this Ontario standard, but I know the standard that City of St. Catharines has adopted is 1.8.
Mr. Martuccio, is this top of mind, perhaps?
I think it's 1.4 for Ontario, right?
It's, through Mr. Mayor, the councilors, 1.5 meters is what we use for sidewalks that are not adjacent to the curb. Right. 1.8 where they are adjacent to the curb for the extra, I'll call it snow storage capacity.
I guess my question is, through the mayor to the presenter, how do we balance it when we go into an older community with, because we also have like a tree canopy policy, I believe, and if we go by the 1.8, sometimes we have to destroy those trees. So how do we actually balance it? Like, would it make more sense to follow the Ontario disability standard?
I think honestly, situations like that are best dealt with almost case by case, because yes, trees are important, and the inherent value of accessibility is it also is sustainable.
Yeah.
So we don't want to impact environmental sustainability in the name of accessibility. So I would suggest that, I think as the staff have been doing, that we continue to look at those individually when they come up.
So staff discretion, kind of?
Well,
Yeah.
to work with staff, yeah. Or come to the AAC and we'll let them brainstorm.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harris. Councillor Mako.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to the presenter. I believe the original AODA legislation had a goal of Ontario being fully accessible by 2025. I'm wondering if you could comment on that a bit and your thoughts, and whether you've heard, is the province planning on any future legislation beyond 2025 to guide our work and our efforts at a local level, because your committee's been doing outstanding work. Thank you to you and the committee. I'm just wondering if there's any top-down support coming beyond the initial legislation.
Okay, through the mayor to Councillor Mako. That's a really good question. I see many of all of the standards that have been in place under the existing law have all been reviewed and have had public comment. John Lane, our former chief building official, was on a standards committee. They are all sitting there waiting to be rolled out, waiting to be approved. The AODA, the goal of January 1st, 2025, which I used to jokingly say was to allow me job security, is definitely passed. However, that does not mean that the legislation is not still in force. It's in force. And I know they are looking at other standards in healthcare, post-secondary education, K to 12 education, and I'm probably forgetting one other proposed standard. So I think, or I believe, that we just have to hang tight. I think it's coming. More regulations are coming. I think accessibility is a process. January 1st, 2025 seems so long ago when it was January 2000. 25 years, that's a long time. And now that we're past and gone, still so much more to do, so.
Keep at it. Your committee's doing great work.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Mako. Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I realize you've been here a very short time, but in that period of time that you've been here, where do we need to go to make it better? What are the things you have in mind to improve accessibility in St. Catharines?
Through the mayor to Councillor Phillips, thank you for your question. I like that question. Where do we need to go? I do see gaps. I think one of the key things that we need to do is roll out continued staff training, engaging staff training. Online modules are one thing to do when you start, but to continue that education or to offer those types of educational seminars and webinars and things like that for staff to learn is important. So for example, where I previously worked, we offered lunch and learn webinars around how to create accessible documents. And you could come away after 45 minutes with valuable tips, because that's an important thing for people who are blind or have low vision, to be able to read documents that are posted online. Where else do we need to go? Definitely in St. Catharines. Working with the Sidewalk Working Group is one of my biggest challenges upcoming, to ensure that we streamline the engineering specifications, and working with the engineering staff. I think that's going to be a positive experience. Also working with planning and municipal works as well. I'm just trying to figure out who does what still and bring it all together. I think that's part of the challenge, is just knowing who does what and how can I bring them together and find those points of synergy. So the other thing, we have compliance filing coming up, but also revisiting the policies that have been around for quite some time now. It's time to update them, and I think our accessibility policy goes back to 2017. So it's probably time to update it and take a look at how that's working or not working.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions, thank you very much, Ms. Nicholson, for the presentation.
Thank you.
was a good thing we added an accessibility coordinator position. I think we should high five the fellow who put that position in his budget last year. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the recommendation in the report? We'll go with Councillor Mako and Councillor Phillips. And I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor Mako?
Yes.
Councillor Phillips?
Yes?
Councillor Williamson?
Yes.
Councillor McPherson?
Yes.
Councillor Harris?
Yes.
Councillor Dodge?
Yes.
Councillor Kushner?
Yes.
Councillor Lindell?
Yes.
Councillor Miller?
Yes.
Councillor Townsend?
Yes.
Mayor Cisco?
Yes.
And that's carried.
Item 9.2, Engineering Facilities and Environmental Services, Climate Adaptation Plan Annual Progress Report. I need a mover and a seconder for the report, so Councillor Harris and Councillor Lindell. Are there any questions or comments with respect to the Climate Adaptation Plan? Councillor Wilson, Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I said I would be very brief. Just on, I've got some notes here. Number 12, flood prevention strategy, and it probably applies to a couple other ones. And I guess this would involve working with our land use planning, our planning department. And that would be, it doesn't mention anything about permeable surfaces, but I assume that we are working towards incorporating permeable surfaces wherever possible. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Martuccio.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. Yes, we are looking at implementing permeable surfaces or low-impact designs where possible. An example of that will be the reconstruction of the parking lot at Sunset Beach.
Thank you. And Councillor Dodge invariably asks about what green aspects that developers, when they come forward with proposals, are including in development proposals. So I hope that we're making an effort on that one. And just a general comment, and that is that we're still at the adaptation stage, and I hope that even though that is our focus here, that we're working on doing some mitigating as well, and I'm certain that we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor Harris?
Yes.
Councillor Lindell?
Yes.
Councillor McPherson?
Yes.
Councillor Phillips?
Yes?
Councillor Townsend?
Yes.
Councillor Williamson?
Yes.
Councillor Miller?
Yes.
Councillor Mako?
Yes.
Councillor Kushner?
Yes.
Councillor Dodge?
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco?
Yes.
Carried.
Item 10.1, all-way stop control at the intersection of Vansickle Road and McIntyre Boulevard. Moving this motion with enthusiasm, I have Councillor Harris, and seconding it, I have Councillor Kushner. The motion is up on the board. Councillor Harris, did you want to speak to this first?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It is a very busy street with more added services at Club Roma, and there needs to be some stop signs. So hopefully we get it done. I guess the only question I have is, if we say immediately, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the Director of Engineering, Facilities, and Environmental Services, what does immediately mean?
I'll look to the director to let us know that he has it in his trunk and he will be heading right over after the meeting. Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. Staff will work on it after today's council meeting to start just the implementation of the stop signs, hoping that we can get it implemented before the end of the year.
What month are we in? So sooner than later?
Sooner than later,
okay,
yes.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other comments or questions, I will look to the clerk to
Yeah,
call.
a question, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Councillor Kushner.
Yeah, that road has been complained about for years because it's one of the longest roads in St. Andrews, and there's been speeding from day one. And what about radar cameras? That's under the auspices of the region, is it not?
That is correct.
So we cannot put radar cameras on our streets whatsoever.
Because
So
it's
we'd
not
have to get region.
because it's not a designated community safety zone, that's correct, Councillor. We wouldn't be able to, the legislation in Ontario wouldn't allow for it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Right, seeing no other questions or comments, I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Kushner.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes?
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
That's carried.
Councillor Lindell was trying to decide whether she was in favor of this or not. Oh, okay. 10.2, special start time for council meeting of December 8th, 2025. Moving is Councillor McPherson, seconding is Councillor Miller. This one's pretty self-explanatory. There are a couple of sole member and sole shareholder meetings that need to take place, so we'll be beginning at 5. Look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Kushner.
Yes.
Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yeah.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
That's carried.
All right, looking for notices of motion. Does anybody have a notice of motion? Councillor Harris?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Kushner and I are going to bring a motion forward regarding the shelter on Glenridge Avenue at the next meeting. And we'll consult with the CAO about it prior to submitting it.
Excellent, good to hear. Any other notices of motion? Okay, I do have a notice of motion as well. I will be providing notice in regards to a motion of advocacy calling on the province to create a Do Your Job Act. And I will happily share details of that with council over the coming days. Item number 12, are there any report requests? I know I have a report request from Councillor Mako, which is on the screen. Councillor Phillips, you have a report request?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to request a staff report regarding the possibility of extending the present grant timeline for ADU funding. That would go to, I guess, Director York.
Okay.
And we could get that as soon as possible. That would be great.
Councillor, do you want that in the form of a report or a memo? Because a memo will come faster than a report.
Memo? Director York?
Yes, that's fine.
Director?
Through the mayor.
Okay, thank you. Memo?
So a memo? It's a memo regarding the possibility of extending the timeline on ADU grants, correct? Wonderful. Okay. All right, are there any other report requests? Seeing none, those are up on the board. Good to see. Move on to number 13. Can I have a mover to receive and file the minutes of the committees and task forces? Councillor Harris, Councillor Lindell, all those in favor? Opposed, it's carried. And then I will look to the clerk for the reason to go into closed session.
One reason this evening, staff direction regarding a funding request from the FirstOntario Performing Arts Centre, closed session pursuant to Municipal Act 2001, Section 239(2)(I), a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization.
Mover and seconder. McPherson, Phillips, all those in favor? Opposed? In camera we go. Welcome back. Motion rising from closed. Staff direction regarding a funding request from the FirstOntario Performing Arts Center. The recommendation is that staff proceed as directed in closed session. It is moved by Councillor Lindell, seconded by Councillor McPherson. And I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor Lindell,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miller,
Yes.
Councillor Phillips,
Yes?
Councillor Townsend, Councillor Dodge,
Yes.
Councillor Harris,
Yes?
Councillor Mako,
Yes.
Councillor Williamson,
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
That's carried.
All right, the bylaws. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Dodge, Councillor Harris. That the bylaws listed as A to C be read a first time considered and passed and be signed and executed by the mayor and the clerk. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Can I have a mover of the additional bylaw, bylaw A? Councillor Williamson, Councillor Lindell. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Motion to adjourn. Well, I was going to give that one to you, Councillor Harris, but I guess this one's Councillor Mako and Councillor Dodge. All those in favor? Opposed? Good night.